Let's start by talking about Arsenal. Alex, let's get your thoughts on the last couple of weeks. Obviously, I know that you're going to give me a bit of stick. You did win the North London derby. I'm a Spurs fan. You did win that, fair enough. But obviously, before that, 2 disappointing results in the cup competitions. Where do you stand as an Arsenal fan with the sort of last month at the minute? Because when you look on social media, it's very sort of split at the minute. How do you sort of see it as an Arsenal fan?
I always try and make a differentiation between social media and real life. And I think when you're in the stadium, there is still the positivity in general, although obviously fans did kind of struggle with that Newcastle game, I think. I think the big thing is the frustration I feel is losing games or dropping points or drawing whatever in the same way. It's basically the same. We have all the final third entries, all the box touches. Or, we're pressed up against teams and we just can't put it in the net.
Thinking about the Man United game, for instance.
Yeah, and I think that's really the frustration with fans. It's not necessarily that you win games, you lose games, whatever, but it's the same way. Yeah. And the Spurs game actually was sort of threatening to do that when Son scored because we've been on top in the sort of first 20 minutes. I think that's the kind of the thing this season, I think.
Nieve, what's your take from a neutral perspective on Arsenal in recent weeks?
Yeah, I think Arteta's really got it locked in terms of controlling games, the stuff that happens between the boxes. It really is just those moments that do define games, isn't it? And I think regularly there'll be occasions where Arsenal will have that chance where perhaps they should score, then the game goes in a different direction. They don't, and then perhaps they'll concede a chance, which you always will. The opposition will score. And it's an entire momentum shift.
Well, it did give us a bit of an idea, didn't it, Joe? There's a lot of talk about Arsenal, so tell us what the plan is with the whiteboard, mate.
Yeah, we can pick the magnets up.
Yes.
Now,
yeah, he's buzzing about that.
Congratulations. So today we're going to be having a look at sort of Mikel Arteta's perfect 11. Okay. Now, there's so much quality throughout this squad that people have spoken about this week. Some youngsters coming through as well, and the window is open. So what we're going to be looking at here is the 11 that would be perfect. Mikel Arteta's ideal 11, potentially to win a title. You guys are going to bring together players that are already in the squad, but also a few new additions as well. Both of you have got an 11. We'll debate it out and try and build that 11 out. Any disagreement, me and Smithy will pick based on best argument forward.
I like it, yeah. Best argument always works. Traditional Saturday social, isn't it? Yeah. Let's start with the goalkeeper. I'm guessing you're going to stick with the Arsenal one now. Is that an easy one for you?
Absolutely. Mikel was trying to sign him in 2020. That's how long ago he was interested in this guy. I think what Nieve said earlier, in terms of...
it's got to be... Sorry.
Sorry,
Nick. What have I just seen?
What was that?
Because they're moving in that direction.
Oh, God, carry on, Alex. That was a horror show.
Yeah, as Nieve said, almost everything up to about here in this team is unbelievable, and he's a massive part of that in terms of the height he plays with. If you look at how we press, often on this side, we sort of get teams into this corner and they go long, and it's usually Saliba winning the ball about here, but Raya's positioning stops teams being able to just go in behind us. He's quality. I think he's still top of Europe in terms of cross-claim percentage. I think he's... In terms of an overall profile, he has very few weaknesses, and sometimes that might work against him, because there's not, like maybe Alisson, you'd think about the 1v1 capacity, or Edison, you think about, those pingers, whatever. He's just so good at everything that sometimes I think maybe he doesn't get his flowers.
It's interesting you mentioned those other keepers, Alisson. Do you put him in that he's clearly a top keeper. Do you put him in that world-class category, David Raya?
Yeah, I think I would. Yeah, I'd say so. Like you said, that what he offers, he's a constant, isn't he, for Arsenal? I think that back sort of three with the two centre-backs and him, you've just got pure reliability.
I think the keepers, we look at centre-backs in terms of build-up, but keepers get missed out in terms of the decisions they make. The first action, whether it's out to the right or going long, whatever, making those right decisions is so key for us.
Yeah, he's playing well. He conceded 1 goal in his last 5 Premier League home games. Hyun-Min Son, just thought I'd get that in because he's very little I've got to shout about at the minute. Let's move on to the right back.
Who are we going for a right back then? Timbers.
Yeah, could have been Ben White, but obviously he's out at the minute.
Yeah.
I just think coming off an ACL, considering how much football he's played this season, he has been such a warrior for us. I think he's still only like 23 or 24. He is so consistent. Maybe not the most dynamic in the final third, but in terms of the passes and the short stuff, and on the underlap here, he is unbelievable. He's so good.
Obviously, you mentioned Ben White there. We haven't seen him a lot this season because of injury, but let's say they were both fit. Is Ben White now the second choice behind him? Because I feel like some of the combination play, particularly when Arsenal are at their absolute best, flowing best between him, Saka, Ødegaard in that half space, was part of the reason Arsenal was so successful.
Yeah.
I think if you could split that pod up and say, because it was Saka, White and Ødegaard basically was that three for so long. I think Timber gives you less maybe on the overlap, but maybe a little bit more on the inside. So it just depends what you want, I think.
Because that relationship that Ben White and Saka has is quite special. But you both come with Timber, and that is your team. So we go with Timber. Let's move on to the centre-backs. Let's do them as a partnership. Yeah, was this one of the more easier ones to do? It's pretty nailed on, Nieve, isn't it?
Yeah.
Gabriel and Saliba.
Is this the best centre-back partnership in the Prem? Or is it Konate and Van Dijk?
Van Dijk and Konate could be a good shout.
Unbiased, obviously.
Yeah.
I think it is Saliba and Gabriel, personally.
No, I think just about Van Dijk and Konate. I think what Konate does covering for that right-hand side, that entire right-hand side, and then obviously the Van Dijk being the best of all four, I think I'd just say them, but I think it's very tight.
There was a little bit of, very light talk this week, wasn't there, about William Saliba and Real Madrid? Obviously, he's locked down to a long-term contract, so that kind of diffuses it a little bit. But if Arsenal weren't to win something this season, is that the sort of player now that goes, Well,
we were playing the white kit against you, and I tweeted out, I said, he does not look good in a white kit. Let's be absolutely clear. Yeah, look, he's for me, he's the best centre-back I've seen, and I'm 27, so in the Emirates era, for me, he's just absolutely unbelievable. I think he'll stay for a couple of seasons. We forget he's still 23 or something.
Yeah, he's still
got
young.
Such a long career ahead of him. He doesn't need to rush. But yeah, it's a concern.
Is that a concern, do you think, Niamh? Because if Real Madrid come calling with so many top players who are even at top clubs, it's very hard to turn Real Madrid down. Can you see him being at Arsenal long term, or do you see a Real Madrid coming sniffing?
I think a lot of players really enjoy playing under Arteta, which will play in Arsenal's favour, and they do continue to raise the bar as well. And it'll just be a case of whether or not they think they can continue raising that bar to win trophies, and that could keep them at the club.
OK. Next up, left back.
Difficult.
Now, Niamh, you've got two magnets.
Yes, because I have a slight wild card where a transfer could come into play. But I think with Milos Kerkez, I think once we start to put other names on, it may start to make sense with him. So
you're suggesting a wild card signing potentially, as Milos Kerkez could come in that left-back slot?
Yeah, because something I've noticed with Arsenal throughout the season is when Saka obviously was fit, there was such a high concentration of the attacks on the right-hand side, and a big part of that was Timber. As you say, he's underlaps, but also he does sometimes go tight to the touchline. We saw that with Ben White overlapping as well. And what we could see then is Saka is so brilliant at coming in from the touchline, but there were incidents where he could actually come in between the centre-back and the full-back. And I just think it could be good for Arsenal to have an option on the left-hand side for someone who can overlap. I think Zinchenko was supposed to be that, someone who could come inside and outside, and it's just not really worked out. And I think if you brought Kerkez in, you might find yourself in a situation where whoever's playing left wing can come and make those runs in between the right centre-back and the right back, which are runs that we've seen Declan Rice make a lot of the time. We saw Xhaka make them when Arteta first came in, because his goal involvement, Xhaka, went from 0.12 to 0.46 per 90. And my point with this is it consistent, your midfielder making those runs, or do you sometimes want your winger to make those runs? And that could lead to actually creating better chances.
What do you think, Alex?
Ball knowledge. I think Martinelli is a brilliant player. We were just chatting about him off air, right? He does struggle getting in off the touchline in terms of those players who can fight, like Saka. He can get you in out of lane 5 to lane 4. He can do that so well, and he might need a fullback like Kerkez. I've actually got someone else. I've got a...
Let's see if
you've got a rogue wild card.
I've got a rogue one. Here we are.
Feel throw it in.
Patrick Dorgu.
Yes.
OK.
In terms of his attacking numbers, is it for Lecce? Attacking numbers in under 23s is unbelievable. The reason I pick him over Kerkez, I think Kerkez is a great shout, and he's an Arteta player. The usage of his body, and there's someone we actually weren't going to talk about, but Miles Lewis-Skelly, one of the qualities he has on the underlap to push people out of the way. Kulusevski, sorry mate, just get off.
We have to talk about Miles Lewis-Skelly.
But with that, how come we haven't spoken? We've been talking about for 4 minutes about the left-back area. We've got 3 different names, 3 different magnets.
We haven't mentioned him.
Miles Lewis-Skelly, or Califu haven't been mentioned. How come you've both gone with potential signings over...
No, I haven't. I just don't have Lewis-Skelly as a left-back.
Fine, so I didn't see his magnet,
So you think his future lies in midfield?
Yeah, 100%.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think because...
Long term, yeah. But I think for now, I think this is the sort of player who, attacking-wise, can add what Niamh is sort of referring to in terms of that thrust and give us that overlap without losing any solidity. Like, he's so good.
That's interesting. Neither of you see him as the left-back, then?
No, because I think his strengths would suit midfield more because he's got that already at a young age. He's got that body strength. So the way that he was sort of holding off Kulusevski,
incredible.
And he's got that sort of footwork in tight spaces as well, and he turns quickly. But in terms of acceleration and burst of speed, I wouldn't necessarily say as much as someone like.
You're harsh. I think
the comparison that Rice made was Moussa Dembele for Lewis Skelly.
It's not a harsh criticism. It's just using the actual advantages of a player properly. Because I think that's a big problem for Arsenal. Is they've got all these quality players, but I sometimes wonder, could they be used slightly better in a slightly different area of the pitch?
This is a really good point. I think one of Mikel doesn't need coaching lessons from a YouTuber, but I think sometimes what my issue with him sometimes is. He's so aware of the player's strengths and he'll only play to that. So you mentioned Zinchenko. Just go on the outside. Like, it's OK. He doesn't have to always be on the inside just because that's where he's best. Sometimes he does, in a game, need to go out wide. It's a tricky one on the left, and I think basically your point is bang on, that we just need someone who can make that run and pull the midfielder and the winger inside. OK,
so a lot of magnets. Who are you sticking down then as an agreement?
Do you want to just stick with Calafiori?
Yeah.
Even though we haven't discussed him.
What we haven't discussed, OK.
I mean, at Bologna, he was the left centre-back, and his depth is power, right? I don't see a problem in him being in the field. If you want to win the title, you want depth, you want plenty of options. I really do believe that left-back is a position that could transform Arsenal if they sign someone. And, of course, you've got Dorgu, I've got Kirkes. But just someone who can...
Go for Milos Kirkes then, if you're happy with it.
Let's go and we'll move to the... let's move to the DM position next, shall we?
There's been a lot of talk this week, hasn't there, about new signings. One in particular...
Yes, indeed.
I presume you're both going to mention in this role
Zubimendi.
Zubimendi.
Yeah, I've got him on my...
Alex, what do you think about this potential move? Obviously, it's being reported that a deal's been struck for the summer window.
Yeah.
A lot of Arsenal fans will say, I wish Jorginho was 5 years younger, a little bit taller and could run. I will say Zubimendi over the shoulder, I do worry about him a little bit, but in terms of controlling a game, the tempo, understanding when a game needs to be pushed and pulled, I think he's unbelievable. Thomas Partey, gas pedal. He is go, 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 go. Declan Rice, I understand, and I would like him deeper, to be honest, but only in certain games where you're trying to control transitions. When he's a bit higher up, he can run, he can give you something. Someone to control the tempo of a game, to slow things down, to just, be that sort of Jorginho, Pirlo type player. I'm not saying they're exactly the same. This is a really, really good option.
Were you surprised, Nieve, when you saw the news that Arsenal reportedly beaten the likes of Liverpool, Man City, Barcelona, Real Madrid to his signature? Because he said no to so many high-profile clubs in the last...
Well, Liverpool quite recently, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But another player that references Arteta as being a key reason why he's interested. So that's a real plus for Arsenal. It's fascinating, though, because...
Well, the rail sausage.
Never know. Bask.
I've got
I presume you're both going Rice as well.
He'll be in my midfield.
Rice, yeah, OK.
I've got the Zubimendi because I completely get it as an option. I do like the idea of Miles Lewis-Skelly in that midfield in certain games with Rice and then Odegaard as well as an option.
Yeah. Depends on the game. I'd have him as, if you're in like a diamond, he'd be on my left. But I just think as a general option in most games, I think Zubimendi.
I think it's a good shout. Let's
put them both up then. Let's put Declan Rice up as well. I think his...
Rice is nailed on.
Nailed on. OK. Which means we've got... Where do you want to go next? In the
10?
In the AM? Yep, happy to. Actually, when the Zubimendi links come out, I was not concerned about Odegaard, but it's going to change what he does. If you look at Odegaard's best form for Arsenal, it's come when he's dropping out and he's sort of dictating things in here. It's actually not... He can do that stuff. I'm a little bit concerned about... And I think he can change, by the way. I'm not writing him off at all. He's a world-class player. But I think his role next season will be a bit higher, and I'm interested to see how that changes. But I think
I know what you mean. He dictates a lot of play. A lot goes to him. It's very evident when Martin Odegaard doesn't play how the shape of Arsenal seems very different. I mean, you only got to look at how Arsenal fans were just desperate for him to come back because he does dictate a lot in there. Again, is it an easy one for you, Niamh? Was that Martin Odegaard?
Yeah.
Can't imagine an Arsenal team with that.
I wonder if with the direction of Zubimendi coming in as well, as you say, I wonder if Arteta's sort of desire for him is sort of similar to like De Bruyne at City, where they sort of just float in the final third, and because you can create that final move through them.
The problem is the way a lot of teams set up against Arsenal. This space is completely compacted, so Ødegaard's going to have to find it on the inside. And firstly, Arteta doesn't like using those central zones. He much prefers the wide zones. I think we're like the least in terms of progressing through the central zones in the entire league. Ødegaard is brilliant, but he can get knocked off the ball. He's not Morgan Rogers. He's not going to hold you off. So he's going to have to drop to come deep. And I think he can adapt. As I say, I just have a bit of a concern. This idea he's going to be a true 10, not sure.
OK, I think we can basically breeze over the right wing spot, right? We know that Bukayo Saka is going to be there. He's
my boy.
One of the best right wings in world football. So let's put him up and let's potentially go to the left wing slot where there is some disagreement, I think, over a potential position or a potential addition.
Oh. I've gone for Antoine Semenyo.
Oh, nice.
Great player. Good shout.
One of Arsenal's issues this season is we're massive. So I think we have the second highest numbers for like turnovers in high areas, but I think we're 14th in terms of converting those to shots. We're so shot shy, and we're not direct enough. In terms of a two-footed player who just shoots on sight, he's so like sort of in that Mohamed Kudus way where he can just like again a sort of Arteta player where he just gets you off the ball. Semenyo is absolutely brilliant.
You're bang on there, by the way, because he's got the third most shots in the Premier League this season, behind only Haaland and Salah. So that shots is a big part of his game. Third most completed dribbles in the Premier League this season as well, only behind Ndiaye and Kudus, and 6 Premier League goals. He's had a great season, hasn't he?
Yeah, he
both
has.
feet as well.
And yeah, both feet. Can play on the right, play on the left. In fact, watching the Chelsea-Bournemouth game, that was sort of what got me thinking about Kerkez, actually, because it was that fact that Kerkez was so wide, and it was actually Semenyo who'd sort of start around here and make those runs vertically, and those are the runs that we've seen Rice make, and maybe perhaps not always consistently will it lead to a great chance being created, but if you've got someone like Semenyo making those runs, then all of a sudden it could lead to so much more, as you say.
But you've gone with a player that Arsenal, well, a lot of teams have been heavily linked with, 10 goals and 4 assists in the Premier League this season for Wolves. No disrespect to them, but where they are in the league, that is an incredible return, isn't it?
I think it's that sort of versatility of him. Like we've seen him occupy so much so many different areas of the pitch to create things. Sort of, he never waits for the game to come to him. He just goes, because he has to really at Wolves at the moment. And my sort of theory with this as well is, I think Wolves, they're very sort of asset driven. They sell, make money, get the next player. So maybe it's more of a realistic option as well.
Do you think that is more achievable? Because if you look at the players Wolves have sold over the past, I mean, they're huge names in terms of the outlay of players that have gone out from Wolves.
In talks over a new contract, though, isn't
he is in talks of a new contract, but come the summer months, maybe that's a more realistic one for the summer, do you think?
I think the Arsenal interest was to do with that. I'll be honest. I think sometimes when you hear, players, there's some interest, and then a couple of days later, the players are close to agreeing a new deal, you think, OK, who's said who to what? Cunha's a brilliant player. For me, he's more of a false nine type, and he's better, again, in those central areas, which I'm not sure is where we need him. As we were sort of referencing earlier, the left-hand side either needs that overlapping fullback or a winger who can get you from out to in. That's not Cunha. He's a brilliant player. He's also brilliant at getting you from here to here.
Yeah.
Is that Arsenal's problem? I don't know if it is. Arsenal's problem isn't getting to the final third, it's putting the ball in there.
I think they could get to the final third quicker, though.
Agreed.
I think that, and I think often maybe, and I don't know what that comes from. Maybe actually having a winger like Semenyo, they get there quicker in the sense of there was an opportunity they had, and Havertz had sort of floated over there, and he waited a while before he released the ball because he was waiting for Rice to get into the box. So maybe if you've got a winger who, like Semenyo, is quicker getting there from a better point, then they will be quicker too. So you make a good point.
That requires a runner, and I think Cunha's brilliant. But again, for me, his best quality is his stability. You just can't knock him off against.
Yeah, he does occupy. I know what you mean. They're very different positions in terms of the positions they occupy. I remember watching him at the Spurs-Wolves games. He was occupying all sorts of positions. He does sit deep, he does go up, whereas Semenyo is a very different type of player. We need an agreement or...
I think the argument you put forward there...
I think the argument for Semenyo was good, for the fact that he's
Bournemouth fans
out and out.
Absolutely delighted.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, Bournemouth fans. And then finally, the striker...
This is the main position.
Is this, as an Arsenal fan... I mean, we had Robbie on last week and he's banging the drum for a striker. Is that what is missing for? Is that the most important area to sign for Arsenal to become...
I always prefer
to get over the line with the Premier League title?
Yeah, I prefer to look at it... Such a hipster take, but I prefer to look at like a skills gap rather than a position. It's like basically what is the thing we're trying to solve? We don't have someone in the box who can create proper separation. We have players who want to drop out and come to feet. Havertz is a to-feet player. Jesus is a to-feet player. Everyone wants to come to the ball. This guy runs the channels. This guy
Benjamin
will
Sesko.
go over the top. This guy will shoot from distance, which are all things we don't have. He is so bouncy. He's an aerial target. His hang time is like Ronaldo. It's unbelievable. He's raw, 100% he's raw, and he's not brilliant outside the box. But again, do Arsenal need someone who's going to be in the midfield knocking things about? I don't think so. So this is my pick.
And Niamh, you've gone with Osimhen.
Yeah, I've gone with Osimhen. I think I don't know what the fee's looking like for Sesko.
Large.
I don't know if is it
A big
New contract, no release clause.
Yeah.
But because of that,
Not
I'm
cheap.
sort of thinking if you're going to spend that volume of money anyway, I think you should get someone who's more proven and get that level.
Do you think that with Victor Osimhen, he's playing in Galatasaray at the moment, it feels so obvious that somebody should go and get him. So many clubs need number 9s, but nobody has gone and got him.
Yeah.
Like, why has nobody gone and taken that risk when he's been linked with everybody and he's ended up at Gala?
Yeah, I think that there's a whole situation, there's talk about the people that are around him, things that have happened off the pitch.
That feels very un-Arteta. He's got a lot of players like that out of the club, hasn't
But what I will say for
noise out.
Osimhen, though, is when it comes to on the pitch, he's got a lot of heart and passion, and he uses it on the right way in the pitch. He hunts down defenders. He is a relentless presser, and Arteta would direct him in all the right ways, as we've seen he does with attackers. I think if Arteta... That's the big thing I think we want to see with Arteta, though. Maybe that'll take Arsenal to the next level, if he can handle a superstar.
Yep.
If he can handle that, who is going to go and win you a game by himself, because this is what he was doing for Napoli. He could win Napoli a game pretty much by himself, him and Kvaratskhelia. And his quality is just, it's undeniable. And I think what sort of puts him apart to someone like Sesko is if he does get that one chance in a game, I'm so much more convinced that Osimhen will finish it than Sesko. I went to watch RB Leipzig versus Villa, and I thought some of the running that Sesko was doing was brilliant, but when he actually had the ball and he was in front of goal, did he really have that ruthlessness, and did I have any fear for Aston Villa in those moments? I didn't, and I question what his level is. I don't think we know that yet, so it's such a gamble.
With that said, obviously you had Semenyo, is Osimhen... I could see you nodding with Osimhen. You happy to concede on that one?
You were mentioning going to Galatasaray. I think people just go to the Turkish league, people forget about him. No, this guy's unbelievable. He's an unbelievable player. I'm not absolutely horrified by Osimhen at all. I think Sesko, for me, has the highest ceiling in terms of he just has everything you need.
Wow.
So what do you think Sesko has that Osimhen doesn't?
I think outside the box, I don't see someone who I'm going, he's dominating. Once he's in the box, he can create that moment, and he's so powerful, as you say. I just think Sesko can be someone who is an instinctive player outside the box, and I don't think Osimhen is. I think it's more sort of calculated, a bit more.
But when we think about what Arsenal need, I actually think it is someone inside the box that Arsenal need. They need that instinctive number 9 right now that will create a bit of space in those areas that maybe they look a bit static. It's not outside the box.
It's a good argument. I think that's a really good argument.
I think we'll go with Osimhen for that.
It's close. I think Sesko would be an amazing...
Two good shouts.
But, I mean, that 11 is...
Yeah. There is confirmation of the 11 that Niamh and Alex have picked. Let us know what you think of that. Interestingly, not a lot of change in the defensive areas, but a few good shouts in the attacking areas. So let us know what you think of that. Enjoyed that.